Keith, thank you very much for your presentation. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Doug Carr. He's Vice President, Regulatory and International Affairs of National Business Aviation Association. NBAA is a member of ACP, participates fully in all our GA/BA work. And Doug, we're very grateful that you agreed to join us today for our Safety Day. Thank you. Shisha.
Thank you very much, Jeff. It's great to be with everybody this morning, this evening, wherever you happen to be. I want to thank Chairman Lee, Chairman Sumwalt, Deputy Administrator Hu, Director Ruiz, and Director General Jiang for their participation today. Aviation safety is very much a partnership between safety regulators and the operator community. Only through this partnership can we really achieve the kinds of safety outcomes that we're all striving for. So your participation here today and your leadership really signifies a strong foundation for us to build upon. Thank you very much for your participation. In addition, I'd also like to thank our sponsors. As Jeff mentioned earlier, I know pretty well what it takes to put on a great event like this, and it can't be done without sponsors like we have here today with HITA, Gulfstream, Boeing, Bell, and the China Aviation Rescue and Emergency Service. All of your fantastic sponsorship and support of an event like this really helps to ensure that these kinds of events can continue into the future as well. Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure for me to be joining the co-chairs of the General and Business Aviation Committee of ACP, Lita Chong and Rocky Zhang, in presenting this Business Aviation Safety Day for you today. My role at NBAA, the National Business Aviation Association in the United States, is focused nearly exclusively on safety. And it's a real pleasure to be able to talk with you a little bit today about business aviation safety. I recognize that I am the last speaker between you and a much-earned tea break, so I will do my best to keep this program moving along quickly. The next slide, please. As I'm sure everybody knows, operations around the world have taken a tremendous hit as a result of COVID. Flying is down, proficiency is down, and that is having an effect on safety. And so how do we prepare for the resumption of full operations in a safe way, knowing that over the last several months, skills have deteriorated, muscle memory has faded, and proficiency has degraded? I think it's important that we highlight that according to news agencies, China's domestic flying activity has nearly returned to pre-pandemic levels. That is a fantastic achievement and highlights the significant role that aviation plays in a nation's economy. It's important that people and goods be able to move around the country to where they are needed. But I think what we will also be seeing is that international activity will return, and it could return very quickly. One of the important measures for us to keep in mind as we return to a more normal level of flight activity is taking advantage of the safety tools that we have relied upon for so many years. Flight data monitoring, as was mentioned earlier in the program by a few of our speakers, will play an important role in identifying any potential precursors to safety that an operator can potentially act on, and train their crews to avoid. As we know, and as I stated earlier, international flying has been significantly depressed. But as many of these vaccines roll out, as populations are vaccinated, we are expecting a rapid return, potentially rapid return to international operations. And it's important that crews be ready for that. We know that skills degrade. We know that proficiency can be affected when we don't practice our skills. International flying requires additional skills that do need to be practiced. They need to be reviewed, and it would be valuable to practice them before getting assigned to a live flight assignment. I think that would resonate with many of you in the audience. The timing of international flying resumption may not allow us to spend a lot of time training crews to making sure that those international skills are proficient. So before the flying returns, now is a good time for us to be looking at what are those different skill sets that we need to be ready to use in that international flying environment. Next slide, please. And so, as was mentioned earlier today, safety management systems become an incredible safety tool for operators to utilize. These don't have to be complex, overly burdensome processes that create more work than safety benefit. The approach with SMS is to use the data you have, the processes you have, to verify that what your crews are doing is what's expected. And so through tools like flight data monitoring, through reports that your crews may be providing to you, through feedback, we have an opportunity to ensure that the resumption of international flying does not create any additional safety vulnerabilities. And there are ways to practice that before stepping back into the flight deck. Desktop exercises are a great opportunity to bring a crew together and practice a flight just like you would in real time without having to be in an airplane or in a simulator. Going through the checklists, going through departure procedures, understanding the difference between radar and non-radar environments, and how we would use a plotting chart to check on our fuel burn over the course of a long oceanic flight. Those are skills that should be practiced, skills that should be proficient, and doing it on the ground is a great place to make sure that we're proficient with all of those added international skills. We hear frequently when it comes to international flying that we fly our clearance, not our flight plan. That's a good thing to remember as we look to the resumption of oceanic and international flying. Over the past year, rules have changed across the globe. And so understanding what's different between your domestic requirements, ICAO's international standards, and the state requirements where you're traveling will be important to understand. Where to find that information, what those differences might be, and what does it mean for your operation. As always, keeping an eye on those emergency situations, contingencies, communication requirements. Is your airplane equipped to operate where you want to operate? Is there enough fuel to deal with all the required contingencies that are in place in different parts of the world? That will be an important part of safely restoring our international flight cadence. I think we're all looking forward to the day when we can travel as freely as we once did. And I know personally, I'm looking forward to returning to Chengdu when when that's possible. My first visit to Chengdu in 2016 for the General Aviation Expo was a wonderful visit for me, and I really hope to be able to get there again soon. With that, you can end on the next slide. I would welcome any feedback from the audience today about any specifics or questions that the audience might have. I wish you all very well and the best success for a fantastic rest of your session today. Thank you very much.